Good evening. Welcome to Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 28th of 2019. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Brian Kelly.
Here.
Medina Atchison is excused. Sherry Budd.
Here.
Here.
Carr.
Here.
Joan Franzoy. Here. Carol Thompson.
Thank you. We have an agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Commissioner Boynton, support. Commissioner Jar. Any changes or additions to the agenda? All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the agenda is approved. We have minutes from the meeting of July 24th of 2019. Is there a motion to approve the July 24th minutes?
So moved. Support.
Commissioner Kelly, support Commissioner Boynton. Any corrections or changes? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the July 24th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the minutes are approved. First item on tonight's agenda is a public hearing. It is a zoning ordinance text amendment. Proposed amendment is to modify required setbacks for single-family residential dwellings on non-conforming lots with lake frontage. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Boynton, support. Commissioner Kelly. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thanks. So the public hearing is open. We'll have a short presentation about what the amendment includes, and then we'll hear comments. If you have comments for this agenda item, ask you to come to the podium. And please keep your comments specific to this public hearing. But first, I'll ask Ms. Christian if you would just highlight what the changes in the amendment are for us, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The ordinance amendment being proposed tonight is in response to a concern that was expressed by the Board of Zoning Appeals that received requests for variances from property owners who own narrow lakeside lots in order to be able to build a house. The ordinance currently states that the minimum width of a residential dwelling shall be 24 feet, and the minimum required combined side yard setbacks in these residential districts is 25 feet. So on a 50-foot lot, you get a really narrow house, and we do have some lots that are even narrower than that, which basically makes building on the property completely unviable. So in order to provide some amount of fairness for existing non-conforming lots of record, we are proposing an amendment which works on a sliding scale rule. So if you have a non-conforming lot, the new ordinance says that where the lot does not comply with the minimum required lot width, the narrowest side yard shall be not less than 5 feet or 15% of the lot width, whichever is greater, and the sum of the two side yards shall not be less than 30% of the lot width. So for example, if you have a 50-foot wide lot, 15% of it would be 7.5 feet. So you would have 7.5 foot one side yard, and you would have 7.5 on the other for a combined side yard of 15 feet. So, or you would end up, if it's a narrower lot than that, the minimum you would have is 5 feet. And for fire safety and for emergency access, 5 feet is considered as the minimum that is required. So the proposed ordinance is intended to provide a tool for homeowners with smaller, narrower lots to have a viable building envelope and a home on it while keeping into account public safety and welfare too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Anyone who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Yes, sir.
Corey Gibson, 43160 East Sharon River Drive. My concern is that this is for existing lots that are non-conforming, or do we then adopt this for future growth of rezoned properties, in the sense of if we take a chunk of farmland and we divide it up into individual parcels, does this new setback apply? Or do we go with the 70 because this isn't a pre-existing non-conforming?
Question, and I'm going to ask Ms. Christian to answer that, but we would not be able to allow someone to develop in a non-conforming way. So they're going to have to come up to what the standards for that zoning are. So we don't even.
This new for non-conforming, are we using this as a grandfather clause for future developments? Because in the letter that's addressed in the meeting minutes, it talks about looking at concentration of narrow properties in the same letter where you're requesting for these non-conforming variances. We're asking about looking for concentration areas where we can do non-conforming homes from the, the letter from the last meeting with the lakeside setbacks from Vidya.
I understand what your concern is. it is not a concern that we would allow non-conforming lots to be built going forward in the future, but I'm going to have the expert walk you through what the process would be. So, Ms. Krishnan?
Proposed ordinance is intended only to apply to existing non-conforming lots of record. If somebody owns a chunk of land and wants to split it up, they will not be allowed to split it unless it meets what the underlying zoning requirement is, which is minimum lot width of 70 feet for the R1C. So, and the term grandfather actually means that the lot existed prior to the zoning regulations being adopted. You cannot create a lot and call it grandfathered. Grandfathered basically means the lot was in existence prior to the legal regulations going into place. So this is only for those lots that predate our zoning ordinance and have always existed. And so unless you have an ordinance like this, essentially somebody owns one parcel of land for years, they cannot build on it at all. This is not an ordinance that would be applicable to any newly created lots, and newly created lots would not be allowed to be created if they are non-conforming.
Sure, good question, thank you. Questions or comments from the commissioners? Anyone else in the audience? In that case, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner, I'm going to take Commissioner Franzoy, support Commissioner Kelly. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And the public hearing part is closed. But as you see on your agenda, under new business, the exact same item is our new business, the zoning ordinance text amendment. I don't know that we have to go through it again unless anyone has other questions or concerns, but this is following the public hearing and having no outstanding concerns, time that we can go ahead and move this forward as a recommendation to the Township Board. So anyone in the audience, any commissioners, comments, questions, or concerns? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Boynton.
I move that we recommend to the Township Board the zoning text amendment for the proposed amendment to modify required setbacks for single-family residential dwellings on non-conforming lots with lake frontage. As laid out or spelled out, however you want to call it, in a McKenna letter dated January 18th of 2019. I'm sorry, July 18th of 2019.
No problem.
I apologize.
That's all right. Let's not get to January yet.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, and support from Commissioner Franzoy. Sorry, I already had her. All right, this is a roll call vote, please.
Donald Boynton?
Yes.
Brian Kelly? Yes. Sherry Budd? Yes. Joan Franzoy? Yes. Carol Thompson?
All right, we'll send this forward to the Township Board. And has someone talked to the BZA? Have they met and they're aware of where we're at on this?
I'm not sure this has been communicated yet, but I will, typically Ron would have done it, but I will make sure that the BZA is aware that their comments were taken into account by the Planning Commission.
Great, thank you so much. We are to general discussion in tonight's agenda. Any items for general discussion from staff? Commissioners? Anyone in the audience? General discussion item. That being the case, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Boynton? Support Commissioner Kelly. All in favor say aye. Aye. And thank you, we're adjourned. Did I set a record?
You are.
Oh, that's pretty
9
close.
minutes.
I think it might